this new franchise history, we're actually in playoff contention.
Yeah.
It's going to be a stretch at this point, so it's going to take a lot of extra work and focus, but it's there, man. It's there for the taking if we can do it. So it's a lot of extra discipline,
That'd be good.
Yeah, breaking down the film even more. And
Yeah. The intensity is just taking up another notch.
yeah, dude. Yep.
Yeah.
I love it.
I mean, that's where it's at. I mean, I like those high pressure situations. So I fought. I don't know how much Justin told you about me, but so I fought for a number of years and fought at a really high level. And I used to say that I'm an adrenaline junkie because I'm not a very violent person. I actually have a very laid back like personality, but I was addicted to the competition, and then I've really found out that I just love flow. Like I'm a flow junkie, if anything. I love the flow state, meaning I just like when the stakes are high and like you've been training and preparing really hard for this moment, and you're just locked in, man. You know what I mean? Like you're in the zone. And everything's just flowing, everything's just working. It's like an outer body experience. And like when it's all said and done, you get like this rush of like relief, but also like dopamine. You just feel so good, and you're just like, "Fuck, man, that was so awesome! I can't wait to do that again." It's like the best feeling in the world. That's how I used to feel after fights all the time.
I hear you, man. That's exactly. I was actually like thinking about it. You know, every now and then I like to like tap into like the why of soccer and like what why I continue to play at this point. And
Yeah,
dude, that's what it boils down to, man. Like there's a lot of other like additional features at this point, but like at the heart of the matter, I love competition and I
yeah,
love being in a high stakes environment, like you said, and in my flow and breaking down. I love chess over checkers.
yeah,
And soccer especially is a lot about chess, man. That the better player is the one who's thinking 2, 3, 4 passes ahead instead of reacting to the pass that's happening. So,
right.
and that's one of the things I love about being a defender is I get to sit back and watch it all happen and organize my play ahead of me. And
Yeah.
yeah, so
Watch plays like develop and open up, and then you can like insert yourself in there.
exactly, yep.
Yeah, man, that's where it's at. I developed that skill really early. In like high school, like playing football is kind of where that kind of started developing. So I was like I say this with like some angst because like I wasn't too happy with like my high school football career, but like I played on the line. I played like every position on the line at one point in my time. So like I was a center and a guard. I think I started as guard and then they moved me to center for a long time. I played center. I even started on varsity as a center. I wasn't even that big of a guy, probably as big as I am now, to be honest. And then I ended up playing a little bit of tackle, a little bit of tight end, mostly for blocking. They wanted me for tight end. But when you do that, and in football anyway, like whether you're a line or you're a running back, either way, like you have to like let the play develop. So like as a blocker, you're opening up holes, and then the running back or whoever like has to like follow slowly behind their blocker and just watch the read and watch what develops and watch what opens up. So on the other side of the ball, as defense, which was my favorite, you do the same thing, right? You're watching the offense like progress and open up their plays and watch things develop, and then you just put yourself in there and just cause havoc.
Yeah, man. It's like wait, go.
Yeah.
wait, go.
Yeah,
Love
yeah,
it.
dude. So let's go back to to your beginning a little bit. For the folks listening, I'm talking to Robert Acosta, the
Nailed
man.
it, dude. Nailed it. A lot of people say Acosta, so I always love it when someone says Acosta, man. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
well, I cheated a little bit. I listened to your first podcast with our buddy Justin. Justin Bricker, shout out to Justin and the Why Not podcast.
Yeah, he's the man.
But yeah, man, take me back to your beginning a little bit. Was soccer like your first love with sports, or like what's been your journey?
Yeah, so I played pretty much every sport growing up. I started in soccer when I was 4, and then t-ball when I was 5, and then quickly was playing a bunch of other sports. And soccer, I just started to excel at from an early age. So I was a little bit bigger than kids my age, and I was a little bit faster and a little bit stronger. And so when I was 9 years old, I actually got pulled up to play on a team that was 2 years older than me.
Oh, nice.
And so especially at that point, man, my development just started to excel, and I started to leap ahead of other kids my age. And
Yeah.
so then the better I got, the more I loved it. And I loved the other sports, and I loved being competitive in all different arenas, but soccer was always just
Yeah.
my field of
That's
interest.
what you took to early, huh?
Yeah.
So you were bigger than everybody else in your grade. How much older than were you like at one of the oldest in your grades?
I was toward the beginning, so I was I think the cutoff point or beginning point was always like August birthdays or something for
Yeah.
the grades, and I was an October birthday.
Okay. Yeah, I always just think about that because have you read the book by Malcolm Gladwell? I don't know if it was Tipping Point. No, it was Outliers. Have you read his Outliers book?
Uh-uh.
Man, it's a fantastic book. But one of the things that he talks about and he uses the example of hockey, how kids born like right after the cutoff. So if the cutoff date is, I don't know, I think for hockey is like in February or whatnot. Like if you're born in like these months immediately after the cutoff date, so that way you're the oldest in your grade. How those kids actually, there's a higher percentage of those kids like that actually went on to play professional hockey, and the reason being is because when you're that young, like one whole year of development is a big
It's
deal.
huge.
Yeah, so from all physically, mentally, everything. So those kids tend to stand out, and then they got because of that they end up doing like the AAU leagues or the additional leagues they would get. So they get more practice and they get better practices, and then they get more games because they're like in the advanced leagues, and then it was just like this snowball effect as they got older. So they spent all of that extra time getting better because they had more opportunity essentially because they were bigger.
Sure. Dude,
Yeah.
that's a great perspective. And actually, I kind of got both sides of the coin. So when I was 15, I started playing in the Olympic Development Program,
Okay.
or maybe 14. Anyway, and that the Olympic Development Program is a program that brings the best players in the state together.
Okay.
So, being from Arizona, the best players were always in Phoenix and Tucson, and then a couple like outliers, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So they choose the 18 best. We'd come in, we'd train, and then we'd go and compete in a regional tournament, try to make it to a national tournament. Really good for player development and for scouting purposes.
Yeah.
And so for that program, they actually start. It's actually by birth year. So 1986. I'm born in October, and I'm going against guys that are born in January of
Right.
'86,
Yeah.
who because so they're bigger physically, and because of that, birth date, they're in an older grade than me also.
Right.
So that was a huge benefit, man. So now I'm playing against kids my age that are like a little bit, my level and below, and I'm playing against guys that are older, a little
Yeah.
bit bigger, more experienced. And so, man, it was a huge blessing, man. I just got both sides of development.
Yeah, you got to probably imagine a whole lot better that way. I mean, whenever you when you compete against people at a higher level, you tend to rise to that level, hopefully, right?
Yeah,
Or you, I mean, sink or swim.
it's true, man. Yep.
Yeah, man, that's real true. So, where out in Arizona are you from?
Tucson. Yeah,
Tucson?
born and raised.
Okay.
So I miss the desert, man. But
Do you?
I've been away from Tucson since I was 18. So
Yeah.
um,
It's that dry climate.
yeah, man,
I
I miss
lived in
that
San
desert.
Antonio for a year, and that's kind of like borderline desert-ish. It's not really quite, but man, I don't know how you guys do it.
I miss the heat, man. The dry
Yeah.
heat. It's it calls to me, especially during these humid times. And the
Yeah.
more time I spend in the Midwest and the humidity, I'm like, man, give me my dry heat.
Yeah, due to the humidity is no fun. It makes it hard to breathe. The air's all thick and whatnot. So okay, so you I imagine you played all through high school. Did you get like a scholarship to go play at college, or can you
Yeah,
take me
so
through that journey?
Yeah, sure. So college was that was like one of the big barriers off the bat. I was getting offers from a few schools in California, Washington, a few different places. I was set to go to a school in California actually, and then senior year of high school broke my hip.
Oh,
So all these schools that are looking at me just dropped their interest, said, hey,
mm-hmm.
we can't give you any money until your junior year. But, if you want to come and play until then and figure it out, and it just wasn't financially feasible.
Right.
So luckily there was this little small school, in Waverly, Iowa, that'd been sending me recruiting letters. And it's funny because when I was first getting the recruiting letters, I was like, Waverly, Iowa. I didn't even open the first couple, just like
Yeah, it's
straight
like
in the trash, man. Yeah. But what a blessing, man! They just kept knocking and kept knocking, and they're a Division III school, so they have no athletic money to give, but they can, especially when they find athletes that they want, they find different pockets of money and different scholarships to apply for. And
Yeah.
luckily, man, I was very academically oriented growing up, and so I
Okay.
ended up getting a ton of money for academics, and then they helped me supplement with some like minority scholarships and out-of-state scholarships and things like
Yeah.
that.
Did you have to do like work and learn or anything like that?
Nothing like that, but I was always working anyway.
Yeah.
I worked, I was always working 30 to 40 hours a week through college anyway. So
Oh man, you're grinding.
grinding, man. That's when the grind started.
Yeah, yeah. What were you doing during that time? Like what work?
Different things. Mostly, I was involved in like food service.
Okay.
So I was a delivery driver for Domino's for a while. I
Yeah.
worked in the kitchen at one of the restaurants on campus for a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Those are flexible gigs.
yeah, they were.
Yeah.
And Domino's delivery driver was perfect, man,
Oh
because
yeah.
I could do my full day of classes, go to my training, go to my study hour for soccer, and then go to Domino's from 8 till mid. Work the closing shift. And,
Yeah.
get a bunch of deliveries.
Were
And
you
then,
crushing pizza?
Oh, all the time, man. That was before I was into nutrition. I tell people all the time, man. I lived off of cheesy bread and Coke, man. All
Yeah.
the different cheesy bread selections. Oh man, I could eat pizza and cheesy bread forever.
Yeah, when you're young, dude, you can get away with that, right? Like when you're still like in college and high school, even like you just eat like trash and you don't really feel it. I don't know why that is, but like now I'm 31 now, and I even towards like the later end of like my competing career, I really had to be on point with my diet because if I ate something bad that day, I would feel it in practice that evening, like without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny, man, because I'm at the point now, and I can't really tell if it's like the whole like ignorance is bliss. Like if
Yeah,
you don't know, like it, you can't really tell the effect it's having on your body. But
yeah,
once you know, it's like you can't go back.
right.
And I think about that all the time, man. And I coach the young athletes. I was pretty in tune with my nutrition, from a young age. But there's a lot of information we didn't know at that point, like how
Oh
much
yeah.
sugar you should be having, a lot about grains and different fats and stuff like that. And so I wonder, I did well and I excelled, but what if I had also been doing the nutrition right at that point?
Oh
Just
yeah.
because we can get away from it, one of the big things I stress to these kids that I work with is, hey, just because you can get away with it doesn't mean that it's helping you excel. Like if
Right.
you're already doing this great and you're not even fueling your body right, imagine how much better you could be doing if you're fueling your body right also.
Oh, dude, man, yeah, 100%. I think about that as well. And so, I'm really conscious of it with my kids because like if you're not getting the right sleep or if you're not eating enough or you're just not drinking enough water, like you're not performing optimally. And like when you're a kid and like your hormones are just fucking just off the charts, so that usually like makes up for a lot of things, right? Like you're going through puberty or whatnot, or in your late 20s or your early 20s even, and like your just testosterone is just super high, and you recover quicker and whatnot. But like if you really gave your body the optimal conditions, you would just perform so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about that all the time. What's your diet like now?
I try to eat mostly natural.
Yeah,
If God didn't put it on the earth, I try not to eat it.
yeah,
I mean, obviously there's exceptions, and I have a lot of flexibility just because of how well I eat. But
mm-hmm,
mostly, a lot of fruits and veggies, a lot of fats, seeds, nuts,
yeah,
oils, lean meats, things like that. But
yeah.
my weakness is cookies. I'll be
Cookies,
very upfront about that, though.
dude. We all have one, man. Mine's ice cream.
Okay,
I
all
can't.
right.
I can't even keep it in the house because if I do, like, I think it's like a quart and a half, like the little oval ones. I'll eat that in one sit. That's one sitting
Gone.
for me,
Yep.
dude. I have no self control. Same with cookies. We actually had some cookies in there, and I just ate all the cookie dough. I have no fucking self control, man. I just can't have it.
Same, man. It's funny. My mom still sends me like my favorite cookies a couple times a year.
Yeah.
And she sends me like a dozen, 2 dozen, whatever. No self-control, man. Mom's cookies, they're gone within the hour, man.
Yeah,
I just
dude.
sit there
Dude, it's like a
smashing these
trigger
cookies,
food,
man.
man.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, dude. I do love pizza as well. Pizza is like one of my go-tos, like for just like a treat meal or something. I just love it.
Same.
Yeah, but you said something really important. I mean, the metabolic flexibility, like having that flexibility is what's important as far as like being able to process those. So like being able to like run off fat, to be able to run off carbohydrates and like do it seamlessly and smoothly. Do you fast much at all or
I
yeah?
am getting big into fasting. Yeah, man. I started, learning about intermittent fasting a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
or actually, I guess maybe like a year ago. And it's funny because for a large portion of the couple years before that, I had actually been doing intermittent fasting without even really realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I woke up in the morning, it didn't really feel good to eat. I would go hit the weight room, have training right after that, and then I wouldn't eat until like 3 or 4 o'clock, and it felt fine. Like I felt good, I was getting
Mm-hmm.
strong, like whatever. And then I come to learn, like a year or two later, the actual science behind it. And so
Yeah.
I still wonder the validity of it with soccer players, and I talk to my guys about this all the time, especially since it's such a different cardio emphasis on the system,
Mm-hmm.
how valid it is during season, or how regularly you should do it during season. I'd love for someone to
Yeah.
invest some money into a study with soccer players doing intermittent fasting because,
Yeah, I think so those like those lower carbohydrate based diets where there is like a lot of fasting kind of implemented, it's not ideal for athletes by any means, right? Because when you're in a game, right? I mean, there's a heavy demand on like your glucose system. So you need to have carbohydrates and if you're fasted, I don't know if that would be the best thing. You know what I mean? I don't know about intermittent fasting. I usually don't eat until like noon most days, and I usually feel pretty good. But yeah, I guess it just depends on the person, right?
right?
Yeah, yeah. I think everybody just has to take like an individual approach. I
But
try.
I will say though, like especially out of season, once I'm not competing as much, I will get big into intermittent fasting. Just
Yeah.
the science behind it, the autophagy that happens,
Hmm.
like the testosterone boost it has for males. Like there's just
Yeah.
there's a lot of science behind it at this point.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think that's probably like the best way to go, right? Just to I mean, you're like cycling essentially, right? When your demands are higher, you're having carbs, like you're not fasting as much, and then whenever you're not in season, you eat a little bit differently.
yeah, and it's just like working out. I don't work out as intensely during training or during season,
Yeah.
and I work out super intense during the off season. So
Yeah.
it's just going to be cycling my diet just like I cycle my workouts essentially.
Okay, I can dig it.
Yeah,
So, um, college, you went to small school in Iowa.
yeah,
How
yeah.
long did you finish your entire career there?
Yeah, yeah, played there. I could have been done in 3 years, but I wanted to play my fourth year of eligibility, so I was there for 3.5 years. Had a great time. It was such a perspective difference, but such a change in perspective for me. So I grew up in Tucson, which is half a million people.
Mm-hmm.
Waverly, Iowa, 10,000 people, 2,000 of which are the college kids.
Dude,
So,
culture
so
shock.
yeah, man, huge culture shock, and it's small town Iowa, man. Like I've got a Mexican background, and especially at that time, like I looked more like it. I was super tan, and so here I
Mm-hmm.
am, and I'm one of 10, dark-skinned-ish people in the town, and so just,
Yeah.
so it was a huge perspective change for me, and I had a really rough time my first semester, man. I almost bailed a couple times,
Mm-hmm.
but
Like missing home
yeah, I
and
missed home, felt like an outsider,
yeah.
was struggling in soccer that season for a couple different reasons. But I'm glad I stuck it out, man, because the longer I was there, just the more I got from it, and
Yeah.
the network that I met there, like they're all still my best friends, and
Yeah. Those
so
difficult times are super important for growth, right?
no doubt.
Yeah, so many people try to avoid those. I remember I went to Lindenwood, and yeah, it's not even that far, but like I came here, I was like, man, I fucking hate this place. Like I'm just gonna go to Mizzou, it's closer to home. Like the college is way better. I'm just gonna go there. But yeah, dude, that definitely must have been a trying time. Do you get asked a lot, like, what are you?
Yeah, very frequently.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's like one of the number one questions I get. So many people are like concerned with like what your ethnicity is.
Yeah,
It's
especially now with the beard, man. I actually get a lot of, and I always wear a white beanie during winter, so I walk around with a white.
yeah, bro, just change your name. I don't know, to like Muhammad, and you probably get that a lot, right?
People
People
are
ask
very
if you're like
concerned at that point.
Pakistani
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Middle
Where I
Eastern or
come from in the Middle East. Yeah,
yeah.
I'll never forget the first time it happened. So I haven't always had the beard, and I'll actually go through cycles where I don't. But
Hmm.
yeah, first time I'd grown it out, I was in Iowa, had my white beanie on. This lady, she was like almost sidestepping me in this parking lot, like,
Yeah.
and like as I'm getting closer to my car, she just, hey, just curious, where are you from? And I was like, oh, I'm from Arizona. No, but like originally. It's like, not Arizona. She's like, where's your family from? It's like, I mean, I'm half Mexican. She's like, but you have to have someone in your family from the Middle East. I'm like,
Yeah, dude.
no,
People
no,
are
a
so
beard and a
sure.
white beanie don't qualify you for.
Yeah, dude, it's so weird, man. Yeah, it's like everybody's just really concerned, like, are you like me? Like that's what people want to know. Like, are you like me?
Sure,
And
sure.
I don't know, we're such tribal creatures. It's really weird.
The fear of the unknown is so large.
Oh
It
yeah.
looms over so many people.
It really does. Yeah, it really does. So, yeah, I mean, I'm from here in Missouri, and that's like the number one question I get is like, what are you? Because I'm mixed with. It's pretty simplistic. Like my mom's white and my dad's black, and like I even got my ancestry DNA test done, and it's like I'm pretty much just like half from like the UK and then like half from like the Cameroon Congo area. So it's like it's pretty simple. But yeah, man, people are just always trying to guess like, oh, are you this? Are you that? And I'm just like, no, man. I'm from Missouri. Yeah,
I am human. I don't
yeah, I'm human.
know.
Peace.
From this planet. Like,
Yeah, dude. I don't know, man,
get
but
real hippie.
yeah, that must have been a huge cultural shift though for sure. Arizona to Iowa. That's an interesting spot.
Yeah, and especially a lot of my friends were farmers.
Yeah.
The first time we had a fall break, I was like, "A fall break? What is this?" And they're like, "Yeah, everyone's got to go back and help their families with the farm
Oh
for
shit, is that
for
what
a
that's
week."
for?
For harvesting
Oh
purposes.
wow.
And I was like, "Yeah, right." The campus was empty, dude. Like everyone was back going, like helping families,
What?
helping families in the neighborhood. Whatever it was, man.
I thought all universities did a fall break. Is that like a Midwest university thing or?
I don't know. Like I remember we didn't have fall break in Arizona.
Okay.
Maybe they've adopted it at this point or or something. But yeah, somebody had originally, when I first asked about it, they were like, yeah, no, it's definitely like more of a Midwest thing, and
Oh,
or
okay.
maybe it started in the Midwest. I don't know.
Maybe,
I
yeah.
don't
I
know.
don't know if I actually had a fall break at Lindenwood or not, but yeah, that is interesting. That is
We
interesting.
had a rodeo break in Arizona. Not a lot of places have a rodeo break. We get a few days off for rodeo down there, man. It's
Is that your
real.
jam? You go to
I
rodeos?
love a rodeo break, man.
Uh,
That's not. I wouldn't call it my jam, but very entertaining stuff, man.
I've never been to a rodeo, believe it or not. They have so many in the area. I should go.
Yeah, man.
I should definitely check it out. My uncle, he shoes horses for a living. Like that's what he does. Like I grew up on a farm, like backwoods, Missouri, like dirt road, all that. And I've never been to a rodeo. Oddly enough, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, man. Especially with your appreciation for athletes, man. Those guys are
Oh,
they're
dude,
crazy, but they're athletes, man.
dude,
They're
yeah,
intense, man. So it's
100%.
yeah, it's just incredible to see what humans
Yeah,
are capable
dude,
of.
they're tough beyond me, all belief.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So so did you make the transition immediately after college into a professional career, or how did that transition work out for you?
So after college, I went back home to Arizona for a couple months. There was no real pro soccer in the area at the time, no circuits to try to climb. There's a very good circuit there now. So shout out to, FC Tucson and Phoenix Rising. Like they've put together quite the pro circuit there. But there was nothing going on, and I felt like I was spinning my wheels. So I ended up going out to the East Coast and finding a semi-pro circuit to get into
Okay.
out in Virginia Beach. So I played for a couple teams in Virginia for 2 or 3 years. It's called the Professional Development League, PDL, here in the U.S. It's
Okay.
like third tier. And then the owners from the team in Virginia Beach bought into the Professional Indoor League. So they bought a franchise, started a team in Norfolk, Virginia, in that area. So they brought me along. I'd never played indoor before. It's a completely different game than outdoor soccer.
Yeah.
And so they brought a coach in, and he wanted pretty much veterans or people that are established at that point. And I was not a good player at indoor at that point. So, but yeah, man, I was on the training team for about 5 months, just going back to that grind, man. It was driving an hour to training every day just to go and,
Oh,
train my ass off and know that I wasn't going to be playing in the game that week, but just training and trying to learn, trying to pick up stuff from the guys.
yeah.
Then driving an hour back home to then go work an 8 to 10 hour shift at Domino's, to then, go and hit the gym to get my weight session in. So yeah, man, after about 5 months on the training squad, they signed me for my first pro contract. The coach was like, man, you're developing, you're ready. So, let's get you in here. Let's get you some experience. And so that's how I got in the door, at least.
Nice.
That team folded at the end of that season, so
Oh,
it was
for
like a huge transition after that. But at least my foot was in the door at that point.
Yeah. So, I have two questions actually. So during that time when you're just on the training squad, you're not getting paid for that, right?
Yeah, nope.
Yeah. So you're just investing in just yourself and just laying that foundation that whole time, right?
That's what it was, and it was all about taking the mentality of, yeah, like this is costing me money, but like this is a true investment in myself.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I wouldn't let myself, a lot of players, they start to take the thoughts negatively, and don't get me wrong, thoughts go negative sometimes, but like it
Oh
was
yeah.
always just going back to that center of, no, this is and you get scared. You get scared of shit sometimes. Like, am I spinning my wheels?
Yeah. Is this
Like,
really
am I
worth
good
it?
enough? Like, man,
Oh,
I could be
dude.
making so much more money. Like, I
Dude.
could be so much more stable.
Oh
And it's
yeah.
like shit. So those moments, and they're scary, man. And like, but yeah, man, it's just always tapping back into that why.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, you could put everything you just said, like you could say that for just, I feel like anybody who actually like just commits and like dedicates themselves to something that's you have really big goals in life. Like, I mean, that's what it takes. Like this you have to be uncomfortable, and it's like putting in like the extra time and the work and like that investment. You know what I mean? I think about it all the time, like with what I'm doing. Like I was like, fuck, man, the anxiety is there. Some days I wake up, some days it's like, oh fuck, man, like what am I doing? Is this worth it? Like, like is this gonna work out? But then some days you're just on the highest. Like fuck yeah, man. Like this is like I know why I'm doing this, and yeah, man. So kudos to you for like putting in that work, dude. Because an hour each way, right? You're working 8 to 10 hour shifts, and then all of this just for like the hopes of like being on the team, right? Like chasing that dream of like being a professional athlete.
Yep.
That's dope. So my next question was, what's the difference between indoor and outdoor soccer?
So outdoor soccer is played on pretty much the size of an outdoor football field.
Mm-hmm.
It's 11 players on each side. and it's 90 minutes, 45 minutes first half just straight, 45 minutes second half just straight. The only stoppage is halftime.
Okay.
Indoor soccer is played on the size of a hockey rink,
Okay.
and it's 5 field players on each side and a goalie, so 6v6, and there's boards all around the field,
Hmm.
so it keeps the ball from going out of bounds too much. The ball still goes out sometimes, but it's a lot high, and there's 4 15-minute quarters, so it's
Okay.
broken up into different periods. Um, but it's very similar to hockey in that there's like power plays. So if you get a blue card, you're off for 2 minutes, and your team has to play down a player for 2 minutes.
Okay.
And, all kinds of little like in I guess indoor type of
Yeah,
rules.
trying to
But
like speed up the game, make it exciting.
yeah,
Is that
yeah,
what it's
it's
doing?
yeah, man. It's my belief that indoor soccer is like soccer for America, because a lot of Americans can't get behind soccer because they want more scoring. They don't.
Yeah.
They think it's slow. Man, indoor, that ball is just pinging around like a pinball half the time,
Yeah.
and teams are scoring 10 to 15 points a game, and
Yeah.
it's a lot more physical. They allow a lot more physicality in the indoor league.
Oh, really?
There's a lot more like hand checking and like wrapping guys up in the box and things like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's
So
definitely American style.
yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
I get so annoyed with how weird we are in America at times because, like, why do we call it soccer? Why don't we call it football
Like-
like the rest of the
right,
world? Like,
right.
it drives me crazy, man. And I used to be one of those guys. I used to hate on soccer, like, growing up. And then going to Linwood, they had such an awesome soccer team there. Like, I feel like most of the team was either like Europe or South America. And they were awesome. So I started playing FIFA and I watched those soccer games. I'm like, I love this sport. This sport is awesome. But like, we're so weird in America. Why do we call it soccer? Also, why don't we use the metric system when the rest of the world does? I don't understand it. And then my last beef is, why do we use Fahrenheit instead of Celsius? I don't understand
Dude,
it.
it killed me, man. I was overseas a year and a half ago, and yeah, man, everything was in kilometers and Celsius, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta sit here and do the math behind this. Like,
Yeah,
I don't even
but
remember what
I
the
like
numbers are.
Celsius because 0 is freezing and 100 is boiling. How much more simple can you get than that?
Right.
I don't understand it.
We're like,
But
nah, we can't be that simple here in America. We gotta be a little
we
different.
got yeah, we have our own freedom degrees. I don't understand it, but that's just my own small little beef. Okay, I can dig it. So you make the team, right? They fold at the end of the year. What's next after that?
So I started going. Or I got invited to the indoor combine.
Uh-huh.
So they bring in players, bring in 50 players, and there's basically just owners and teams and everything watching players.
Hmm.
So I went into that, did perform very well, got named to the All-Star team there. So I had a couple teams reach out that they were interested in bringing me into preseason. I was also so I started doing a couple different tryouts with them. And I was also trying to do a couple outdoor tryouts at the time. So like each weekend it was like tryout,
Oh shit.
and I pulled my groin at one point, and it was just one of those situations where it's like, well, I can't miss these tryouts. Like this could be the one, So I just
Yeah.
kept playing on it, kept making it worse. So I started the tryout circuit pretty much in July, and then in October of that year in New York, I was in a preseason with one of the teams there. And tore my groin completely.
Oh,
Tore my
man.
abs. Yep, so that kind of put me on hold for a couple of years as far as the soccer career went. But
Man, what are you doing during that time, during that couple year time? Or what's
dude, that was
happening?
crazy, man. That was a huge shift in my life. I'm very, very, very grateful for that period of my life. I was in between contracts, so there's no team to play for it. The surgical price tag was like $20,000. Here
Yeah.
I am, like I'm just scraping by just to be able to go to these tryouts. So no way I'm coming up with $20,000.
Yeah.
I was in a long-term relationship at that point. She left, and so here
Couldn't
I
handle
am.
it anymore?
To be honest, I honestly don't really know what happened, but it was a huge blessing one way or the other.
Yeah.
So I was forced to go back to Arizona, move in with my sister, my brother-in-law, and just kind of figure out life, man. I was
Yeah.
like, all right, what am I doing?
Yeah, kind of like the proverbial rock bottom, if you will.
Exactly,
Yeah.
100%. Yep, I had $14 to my name. I had 5 outfits, my soccer shoes, and that was it.
That
I was
was
like,
it.
well, now what?
Fuck, man. So what do you do during that time?
So yeah, man. So I got a part-time job, personal training at a gym. And then I got the first job that I could find. It was doing some bill collecting at this company.
I've done that. That shit sucks.
And it was a company. It was a company that supplied feeding supplies, feeding tubes, and formulas and stuff to like sick babies.
Oh,
And so
dude.
like you gotta like. So
Yeah.
I'm dealing with these nightmares of like dealing with insurance companies and parents of these sick kids, and
It's brutal, and they don't
it
understand
was,
why like you're calling. Yeah, dude. I was a debt collector for a summer, and I was mostly like small claims for hospitals and whatnot. And like you're calling these people, and they're like, "Oh, I already paid that bill." It's like, well, really, like there's a hospital bill, and there's also like the doctor bill, and then like there's just it's a complicated system, and then like you're calling them, and they probably don't have the money anyway. It's just a shitty situation, man.
yeah, man, it was rough. So, but it was always like I decided early on that it was like, all right, I'm just going to work as many hours as possible,
Yeah.
get to this 20K mark as quick as possible, get the surgery done, and get back on the field.
Yeah, the goal is just to hit 20K.
Yep. So I just started doing that, started building my personal training clients. Dude, I was working at the gym. I was going and doing my workout in the gym because I could still do like upper body and like some stuff. And so I
Okay.
was just doing what I could.
Yeah.
So I'd work out from 4 to 5 in the morning. I would start my first personal training client 5 o'clock, train from 5 to 8. I'd have to be at my other job by 8:15. Work from 8:15 to 4:15 there, and then I would start my next personal training client at 4:30,
Dang.
and I would work 4:30 to 9:30 at the gym. And so it
Yeah.
was and that was Monday through Friday, and then Saturdays I would just work at the gym. I'd start my first client at 8, and then I'd work all the way until 6 or 7 at night.
Man, you're grinding,
Dude,
dude,
I was
for
grinding,
real.
man, like real, like big time grinding.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work just to build like a personal training like clientele, right? And then you're also working another job in between that. What's keeping you like going all this time? Like what's motivating you? Like what, I mean, what's going through your head, man?
Dude, a lot of it just boiled down to I wanted to play soccer. I wanted to prove to myself. It wasn't even necessarily a matter of like proving myself. It was like, well, this is what I'm doing. Like this is my calling. This is my journey. This is my
Yeah.
direction, and this is how I'm gonna go there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man, it's funny. Like a lot of people talk about like proving it to themselves, proving it to others, and for me, it was never really a matter of like proof. Like I knew what I was capable of, and it was just a matter of all right, well, now I just got a different route to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like you never question what you're supposed to be doing. It's just like this is what I have to do to do that.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, man. Like we talked about a second ago, like there were a lot of those moments where, dude, I'd get to a Thursday afternoon and be
Oh
fried,
yeah.
and like, why the fuck am I doing this? Like I could just get a regular job, like
Oh yeah.
just start making money. I'm back close to family. Like I'd
Mm.
been living away from my family for 4 years at that point. Like, but it's just a matter of nope. Like I'm getting 20K. And so luckily, man, a huge blessing. I got hired by a company, GoDaddy. I don't know
Yep.
if you ever heard. Yep,
Yeah.
got hired by
A
GoDaddy.
domain. I have a domain through them.
Yeah, if you need a domain registrar, go through them, man. It's a good company. So I started going. So I started working for them in May, and I was supposed to work 6 months before I'd be eligible for their health insurance
Hmm.
because of or their pre-existing condition policy for health insurance. Um, so I was like, well, I'll just make a shit ton of money, and then I'll be able to have health insurance and win-win. I'll have money and whatever.
Right.
Well, it was that year that Obamacare repealed the pre-existing condition policy,
Yeah.
and so within a month and a half, I was eligible for surgery.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, man. So I was able to line up surgery, got that done, got the surgery done, and then a month and a half into rehab, did the other side, tore a bunch of muscles on the other side because I had been compensating for
That's so common, dude.
about a year on that injury.
Yeah, it just makes everything worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ended up getting the second surgery done, and then working for a few more months until I was healed enough. And then, luckily enough, man, huge blessing. The team that I had gotten injured in preseason with
Uh-huh.
invited me back out for another trial,
Nice.
and they're the team that signed me back into the league.
Where were they at?
Rochester, New York.
Rochester, New York.
Shout out Rochester. Shout out Soccer Sam, man. That dude is doing some really good stuff for soccer in this country, and he had an eye for me, man. He saw me in 2012 at the combine, and didn't take his eye off me, and he's still doing some big things up there, and I still get messages from him.
Oh,
So
is he a coach or a recruiter?
he's a
Owner.
serial entrepreneur. Started his own pizza shop at 18, and
Oh,
now
shit.
franchise. There's like over 45, 50 franchise locations in upstate New York.
Oh, that's cool.
Kills it, man.
Call him Soccer Sam.
Soccer Sam. Yep.
Showing the love. Showing the love. So, now soccer's taking you all over the world, though, right?
Yeah, man. So St. Louis is the ninth city I've been in the last 5 years,
Dang.
all for soccer.
Let's go through those cities for
Yeah,
me.
man. So we've been Norfolk, Virginia, Rochester, New York, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, Chicago, Denmark, Sweden, and St. Louis. forgetting one in there. Oh, Virginia Beach
Oh, Virginia
was,
Beach.
yeah,
Yeah.
just after Norfolk.
So, how was it playing in Europe?
Fantastic.
I bet.
I'm blessed to have the perspective, man. Life is truly a series of different perspectives. Like how many different perspectives can you have?
Yeah.
Like that's what makes life. And so having the ability, you grow up and you always want to play in Europe and it's always the dream. And
Hmm.
so actually having the ability to go out there and immerse myself in the culture, and especially, so I was in Denmark and Sweden, and so those are, they don't speak much English up there.
Yeah.
And so it was just a very, very, very different experience. And so I loved it, man. Very high quality soccer. I got introduced to different cultures. Here in America, the most of the soccer players are from North America, Central America, and South America.
Yeah.
And out there, it was mostly like Polish, Czechs, Norwegians,
Yeah.
all different cultures, man. So it was just great for that perspective. And
Yeah, dude, that's an interesting spot, right? Because there's all these countries that are just so close together. And I was talking to my girlfriend the other day. Like, I think her friend lives in Germany or something like that, and her friend's husband, like they're over there for his work, and he has to go to Spain or something for work, so he's gonna like take the family with him. I'm like, Deja, like that's not that big of a deal. It'd be no different than going from like Florida to California. It's just that they're fucking their countries, so everything's so much closer there.
right,
I'd be more impressed if it was like here to Spain. Like it'd be way
right.
more impressive. But yeah, dude. So what was some of the stuff that like really stuck out to you? Like what really shifted your perspective while you're over there?
Dude, honestly, the biggest thing, and I tell people this, and they probably think I'm crazy, but like everything was more vibrant there, especially like in nature. So they have so many nature preservation laws in place,
Yeah.
that like there's mostly 2-lane roads. Most places still, people drive smaller vehicles.
Yeah.
There's not as many. There's like no pickup trucks on the road, like crazy, man. Like all these people just love nature, and like it has a huge effect, man. Like everything just looks so healthy there. Flowers, plants, like. I was lucky enough to be in kind of a smaller, like more desolate region, so
Okay.
I got to appreciate the nature even more. But
Yeah.
that definitely stuck out. And the other big thing was there weren't restaurants in there was like one restaurant in my town,
Like fast food restaurants or restaurants at all?
like dining, like go out and eat.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
it was kind of like a moderately fast food restaurant. I guess like a business casual, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, their big thing was they didn't really believe in going out and spending money. It was more about creating a family and neighborhood environment, like where you were living.
Oh,
And
wow.
so like one place would cook and like neighbors would come over, or you would just be having dinner with like all your family would come over. Or, like
Oh,
it was all like it was a lot more intimate.
that's cool. Yeah, we're not like that in America
Nah,
at
man.
all, man.
We go out to eat and we're on our cell phones, like we're disconnected,
Yeah,
you know.
everything's just instant. What's easy, what's quick. I've been guilty of that too. I don't eat fast food, but I've definitely been guilty of times where it's like, man, it's been a long day, and like my girlfriend will call me and be like, all right, well, you want to pick up Thai, or like let's get some tacos or something, because they're quick and easy. But yeah, man, I like that way of living much better. It's community is such an important part. I feel like as humans, like we need that. So it's interesting that they've just built that into life. Well, not built into life, but like they've stayed true to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Um, I had a thought with what you just said. Oh, have you made it out into nature much here in Missouri since you've been here?
I have done some hiking.
Yeah.
There's a couple spots. Shoot, I'm gonna blank on their names now, of course. One of them is down. If you know where like Streets of St. Charles and the AMC Theater is,
Yeah.
and there's like
Oh, yeah.
there's like that police station right there, and then like the hiking trail behind it, and I
Yeah.
can't think of that hike.
Oh, like Bangor Island.
Vanguard Island, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man, that's my spot for sure.
Oh,
It's
is
it's a
it?
very small hike,
Yeah.
but just like the different views in nature, I love.
It's nice and flat.
Yeah, man. And then I've been in the Lewis and Clark Trail.
Yeah.
That's a nice area.
I can dig it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I was just asking because so Missouri, oddly enough, is like one of the best has like one of the best conservation departments in the country. So yeah, like nature's really big here.
Yeah, I had
So
no idea.
yeah. Yeah, we
Um,
do a lot of good shit here for conservation.
that's fantastic. That is fantastic. I spent a lot of time outside last summer,
Yeah,
so
I didn't really appreciate that though until I lived in like I said, I lived in San Antonio for about a year, and being down there, they have it's the temperature is great, but during the summer especially, they have I guess they call it brownout season, where everything just gets all yellow and brown and dead.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
right? And like there's water restrictions and shit. So like just seeing all that yellow and all that, I'm just like, man, I just really miss the green of Missouri. And that's one of the reasons why I came back. Like I just missed like the scenery. Um, yeah, dude, we
Yeah.
have a good spot here.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's funny. Like the older I get, I've always loved being outside,
Yeah,
and so now like the older I get, and the more I learn, and the more knowledge I seek, like I learn why, and like
yeah,
it's crazy the effects of like being immersed like in and around trees and in and around animals, and in and around the sounds and lights and all that stuff.
dude, it makes you feel
The
good.
the effects it has on the body, man.
Oh yeah.
The dopamine production, the serotonin production, the melatonin produce everything. Like it's like a natural alignment for your body.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know.
Do you ground or
I
anything?
do grounding. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Earthing, grounding. Yep.
yeah. I try to do
Um,
that as much as possible.
fantastic. Yeah, I'm the same way, man. For those that don't know what grounding and earthing
Yeah,
is,
explain it.
yeah, man, go outside. Real simple. Go outside bare feet. Try to find some grass or some soil.
Yeah.
The trees let off a lot of nutrients into the ground to help other trees and other plants grow. And I theorize that they're hooking humans up too, man. I have a theory that they know us and they're trying to hook us up and help us
Dude,
out too,
I can
man.
get really
Like,
weird and start talking about it for real, man, because I'm 100% into grounding. Yeah, dude, like it centers us, right? Like we get these free electrons and just all the energy of the earth like when we connect with it, like we're meant to like we are a part of the earth, right? And the more I've learned about like nature and plants and trees, I'm just so fucking fascinated because like the mycelia or like the fungi, if you will, like there's a whole fucking like interconnected like system underneath the earth that connects like all the plants through the mycelia. So like bigger, stronger trees and plants will send nutrients down to like smaller, weaker ones,
yeah.
and they fucking communicate. And like there's this huge ass system going on. It's like, dude, there's a lot going on, dude. That we
And if they
just
see a bad tree, they'll suck nutrients away from that area of the soil.
really,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
I didn't
dude.
know that.
Yep,
Dude, that
yeah,
makes sense,
yep,
man.
yep.
And we're only. I'm probably gonna mess this up, but I feel like from like a DNA perspective, I mean, I think we're only like one or two molecules away from from mushrooms, or, fungus. So it's like we're very closely connected to this. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy stuff. Or have you heard about like the study where they took like the sound of a caterpillar eating this particular leaf, and just the sound of that caused like the leaves that were downwind to like they changed their taste. They became more bitter just from the sound of that. So it's like they were changing their taste so they
Wow,
wouldn't get eaten. But it's so crazy because like there wasn't even anything like actually eating it. Like they just reacted to a recording.
that's wild,
Dude,
man.
plants are smart.
Yeah, they
Plants
are.
are. My friend told me that they just discovered that trees have a heartbeat. I don't know if that's true, and I haven't looked it up, but that's what he said. It's like like it beats like one time, like every, I think it's like 10 hours or something like that.
Dude, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if
I
dude.
don't
There's
know.
there's still a lot that we don't know about. I mean, there's a lot that we do know, and that one like the big thing we know is how similar we are genetically to them.
Right.
Like I don't know exactly what the number is or exactly what the molecule is,
Oh,
but
me
you're right,
neither.
dude. But you're
It's
right.
really close, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, either way, take your fucking shoes off and walk outside,
Yeah,
folks.
one
Like,
of the things too they found there was a British study that did so there's like these machines that test frequencies that things are letting off,
hmm
and if you hold a frequency machine next to different plants, they're letting off different frequencies,
oh,
and so yeah, man, so like it's a lot of times binaurally that's what we need exposure to is different frequencies to just get our brain patterns and thoughts back
yeah.
aligned. So it's literally like, yeah, you just got to find the right tree to be around, or maybe the trees are reading us and they're letting off frequencies based on that. Who really knows? But
I don't know, man, but I mean, it's been shown that a walk through the woods will make you feel better.
yeah,
Like you can't say the same like a walk through the city. You know what I
right,
mean? So
right.
there's definitely something to being out in nature, man. I fucking love it. It's good stuff. Um, so you are now in St. Louis. You've traveled all over the world now. You ended up in St. Louis. What brought you here to St. Louis, or more specifically, like, out in St. Charles, where you guys play all the time? Like, what brought you here?
Yeah, so after Rochester, I went to Cedar Rapids to play, and my head coach from Cedar Rapids came down to St. Louis,
Okay,
and when they brought him in, he called me up and asked me if I wanted to come down with him and
I can dig that.
be one of the guys to help because
It's good to have
I
those
knew the
connections.
system. Yeah, it was really really good to have the connection.
Yeah.
So.
So you already knew his system. It's just
Yeah, he's got a very specific system in mind. Indoor soccer has been played with a very certain system for a lot of years, and he's trying to integrate more futsal. I don't know if you know what futsal
nope.
is, but
What is that?
it's soccer in every other country, mostly South America, but it's played on a basketball court, and
Mm.
it's 5v5, so four field players and a goalie,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a little bit smaller and heavier ball. And there's lines that actually keep, they're out of bounds lines.
Okay.
So it's actually one of the reasons that other countries are so far ahead of us technically, because their kids are playing it from a young age, and it forces a lot of technical ability from kids from a young age.
Okay.
So he's trying to integrate more futsal style play into indoor. And so yeah, man. So I learned that for a season in Cedar Rapids, and then now I've been helping him, try to implement it with new players here in St.
Mm.
Louis.
Dude, that's a hell of an evolution, dude. You ever think about how much more you understand the game now than you did in the beginning?
100%, dude. I think about it all the time. Like I have to think about it because there's a lot of rookies that, I'm like big bro at the
Yeah.
point. I'm 32 at this point, and so I play with a lot of players that are 18 to 22, and
Yeah.
they're facing the same frustrations that I face at that age.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, chill out, man. Like you only realize, in 10 years that you don't know as much as you think you know. And
Yeah.
like, you're not,
It's
there's
crazy,
a lot
man.
to learn still. And,
Yeah, it's crazy when you're the OG on the team, right? Because it's like you remember being in that spot, and like I find myself oftentimes whenever I'm talking to younger fighters or just athletes, I'm telling them like just be patient. Like that's like the number one thing. Just
yeah,
it'll come, dude. It'll come. Just
yep,
be patient.
yep. If you're patient and true and honest, yeah, it'll come.
Yeah, man. Um, how much longer you see yourself doing this, like as an athlete?
I've thought about that, man. I'm not near enough the end of my career to start counting to like put a point on that. I don't see myself stopping in the next 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah,
So yeah, man, I've still got a good number of years ahead of me. A lot of the guys in the indoor league play until early 40s,
yeah,
especially some of the OG defenders. So I'd like to root myself and really make a name for myself. I had a hell of a season last year. Been doing good things this season, and so hopefully I can continue to just
yeah.
build that reputation.
Yeah, no, I can totally dig that. I was just asking because I mean you seem to be like coaching a lot, so I know sometimes, at least for me, there's a real big like mental transition once I started coaching, and then I just get more enjoyment. I focus on like helping other guys more so as opposed to like the actual physical competition. I still really love to compete, but I like to compete in other areas, not like in business and different things, as opposed to like physically compete.
Sure.
So that's why I was just wondering, like, like kind of like how you were you in that journey?
Sure. And so one of the things that I realized too at this point, and I've started to realize it over the last year or two, is just how much dedication it takes to be at the elite and professional level as a player, because well, not almost, it compromises how much you can put into other areas. So I'm trying to grow. I've
Oh
been
yeah.
trying to grow Acosta Fitness. I've got another brand that I'm starting to grow, Grind and Fitness. And I actually had a conversation with a buddy of mine, a couple weeks ago about how much easier it's going to be to start doing things once the off season hits.
Oh
And
yeah.
so it's like, so I have that struggle with, well, not really struggle, but that conversation with myself, how much is this impacting, how much I can give here. And my ultimate, direction of life is to give here. My ultimate direction of life is to help others, help them grow, help them be better versions of themselves, help them make their kids, healthier. So yeah, so there will be that point where I'm ready to disengage from this so I can completely pour into this.
Yeah.
But I
But
think about it, but I'm not quite there
no, that's
yet.
that's totally cool, man. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I mean, there's only 24 hours in a day, and you only have so much energy that you can give to certain things. So that's definitely a struggle that I've had. It's like, what do you really focus on? You know what I mean? Because if it, in the let's just say like in the business space, if you choose to do, it doesn't matter what business. If you're a fucking plumber, but you're also like you're doing something, you're also like running a t-shirt company, like but you're competing against somebody who is only doing plumbing, like are you probably going to do as well against that one person, right? Because your time is split between two different things as opposed to the person who's giving like 100% to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I always think about that kind of thing. Um, is indoor soccer, is that like the continuous path you see yourself sticking to indoor soccer, or do you ever see yourself trying to like transition back to outdoor?
I would love to transition back to outdoor. It's definitely an uphill battle at this point, and
Yeah.
so I'm more at the point of being open to whichever direction God and the universe ultimately call me.
Yeah.
If I'm still knocking on outdoor doors.
Hmm.
I actually had an agent reach out to an ownership group for me last week, but it's still a lot of no's,
Yeah.
still a lot of no's, and still a lot of no thank yous, and still a lot of we're not looking for defenders. So
Yeah.
if I can crack that route, if I can find a doorway to get into, I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
go hard, and I'd love to make more of a career in outdoor. But if indoor is my route and that's the path I'm supposed to take, then I'll continue to take that.
Yeah. It's just about whether or not that opportunity opens
If
or
that
not.
door opens, I'm ready. So we'll
Yeah.
just see if it
You just gotta
opens.
stay ready.
Yeah,
That's the
that's all. That's
thing.
what it's all about.
Yeah, I was just wondering. I didn't know if it was like one of those things like I don't know, you see it in the corporate world where people they'll have experience. I don't know, maybe they're like an IT guy or something, but then they took this job for like X number of years because they just needed like I don't know, they needed a job or something, and then it's like, all right, sorry, buddy, like I understand you have these skills, but you haven't worked in this field for like 3 years, so now we don't want you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
is that kind of like a thing in soccer? You know what I'm saying? It's like, or you've done indoor all of this time. We don't even know if you have the same skills to do outdoor.
Well, I played outdoor and I did well in so Denmark and Sweden, that was all outdoor soccer.
Okay.
And so yeah, man. So I thought, especially once I got that experience, I thought no problem. And
Yeah.
then last year in indoor, I got named Defender of the Year. So I was like, dude,
Yeah, that's dope.
anyone will take, at least bring me in for a tryout.
Yeah.
There's a team here in St. Louis that I've been knocking on the door for, and I was like, dude,
Do we have a
I'm
pro soccer
local.
team here?
So in the outdoor, there's MLS, which is first division, and there's USL, which is second division.
Okay.
USL is still considered pro, especially with how well the league is run.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, so St. Louis has a USL one team.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, man. So I started, I reached out to them. I had one agent reach out to them. I had the head coach reach out to them. And every time it was like, we either that spot is full or we're looking at other players, and it's like. It's just one of those things, man, where it's like I thought for sure. All right, now I'm right. I got my experience overseas. I got this title, Defender of the Year. I've got all this momentum. Now it'll just something will crack open, and
Yeah.
it just hasn't.
Man, you just gotta stay persistent. You'll definitely get it.
Yeah, man.
I was really hoping we get an MLS team here in St. Louis. Like after the Rams left, I'm like, fuck, dude, let's bring in a soccer team. I'd be so happy for that.
Dude, I thought they would, and I know there's been a lot of back and forth, like just since I've been here about whether or not there would be. Like it's been on the ballot a couple times, and the last I heard, there was a group that actually offered to put up the money for it. And
Yeah.
So I don't know what the status is at this point. And St. Louis is such a huge soccer hub. I can't believe there's not already a team.
Yeah, man, I fucking love soccer. I really wish we would get that. I'd much rather go watch soccer than football. I probably if people are gonna hear this, it's gonna be a very unpopular opinion. Most of my listeners are in California anyway, so that's okay.
Oh, what part? San Diego?
I don't know what part, but so like most of my listeners are out there, and it ends up being like half. So I think, yeah, I don't want to start splitting out numbers
Yeah.
yet,
They,
but-
dude, California is making huge moves for indoor soccer right now.
Oh, are they?
So San Diego just signed Landon Donovan, who's the most prolific soccer player in U.S. history, arguably the greatest player.
Okay.
So they just signed him for the duration of this season.
Oh, that's huge then.
Yeah, and then there's another team up in Ontario, California,
Mm-hmm.
and they announced yesterday actually they signed Jermaine Jones, who actually you look a lot like, dude. Very, very similar to Jermaine Jones. But he's another like one of the best players that's gone through the U.S. outdoor circuit. And he's
Okay.
like 38 now, and so they're bringing him in to play indoor. So yeah, man, California, dude, check it out. This is a very exciting time for indoor soccer in California.
Oh, nice. Big up to Cali.
Yeah.
All my listeners out there.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, you're grinding, dude. So you obviously you're a fucking killer soccer player, and then but you've really been grinding on social, right? You have the Acosta Fitness, and then let's talk about this other brand that you're building.
Yeah, grind and fitness.
Yeah.
So it's grind and fitness is really just based on the mantra that kept me going through all those years, and it was just keep grinding.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something I told myself, and literally in the fitness world, I feel like it's the most spoken phrase to every single person. It's always keep grinding, keep grinding, keep grinding. So I just wanted to, it's not like I'm trying to start a culture. I'm trying to cultivate a culture that already exists.
Yeah.
I'm trying to cultivate all these people that are out here grinding, doing their own thing, and let's all come together and grind together. And so that's what the brand is going to represent. It's going to represent the community of people that are out there grinding,
Yeah.
and that firmly believe that if you just keep grinding, any result can happen. And so it's a nice breath of fresh air for me, because the last couple of years, especially as I try to grow Acosta Fitness, it's all very me specific. So it's
Yeah.
soccer players, speed and agility drills, what I eat, my habits, which is good, but it's only specific to a group of people, soccer players essentially, or other
Yeah, I mean, you
people.
do a lot of speed and agility stuff. It's all good stuff.
Other athletes.
Hmm.
And so I'd like to, I feel like it alienates a huge population of the fitness community, and that's just the people that just want to be healthy, want to be active, and want to be fit. They
Yeah.
don't necessarily want to be at athlete status. They just want to be healthy enough to play with their kids or move around without, getting
Yeah.
excessively tired.
Hmm.
And so I'd like an outlet to put all that information out, and I'd like to be faceless because I'm not trying to like I don't want it to be about me or be like I want it to be about the grind. I want it to be about the culture
Yeah.
that's already there.
So you're gonna like phase out Acosta Fitness?
I'll still continue to do that, but I'll continue to make it just specific to my life. My
Yeah.
life and what I'm doing. And then grind and fitness, currently, if you go to right now, year one is just going to be about putting out a lot of just general health information. And then I'll start to be more targeted year two, year three, year four. So now if you go check out the Instagram page, it's just each day has a theme. So Monday's motivation, Tuesday is a workout theme, Wednesday is nutrition wisdom, Thursday is Thirsty Thursday hydration facts,
Nice.
and then Friday is tips for eating out over the weekend. So I'm just trying to put out a lot of information out there for people who are just looking for basic tips, and then we'll start to grow from there.
Oh, I can dig it, man. You know, I don't know if this is like the best way to go. I almost would have maybe like changed the Acosta like page to the grind and fitness page so you have all those fucking followers and just start building that one and just rebuild the personal one.
That's been the struggle. So that's been like, I was like, man, do I just just switch it over, or do I just try to, convert my followers? And so that's actually where it all, so a couple years ago, 2 years ago at this point, I only had 600 followers on Acosta Fitness.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, man,
And
you've been
so,
grinding, dude.
yeah. And so it was like, so I was like, all right, well, if I'm gonna build a brand, I got to get Acosta Fitness big, big enough, and then just try to convert the followers. And then
Yeah,
if I
just
can
start
get some of
pushing
them to
towards the brand.
convert, yeah, exactly. Then hopefully they start to talk to their friends or whatever. So yeah, man. So I was like, I want to hit 5K followers by the end of year one, 10K followers by the end of year two, and then boom, then I'll launch the brand.
Yeah.
It didn't happen according to that timeline, but it happened ahead of schedule, which
Yeah.
is like one of the craziest things for me as far as like chasing your dreams. Like year one, I was like, I want to hit 5K followers. I hit 4,600, just shy of the mark. I'm like, no big deal. I want to hit 10K by next year. So January, February, March, no engagement. Wasn't picking up followers, was actually losing followers. And so like it was one of those points where I was like, shit, man, I'm putting out videos. I'm spending literally hours every day trying to figure out what type of information to put out to people, filming
Yeah.
videos, editing videos.
Takes a lot of fucking time,
Dude,
man.
it's so time, especially when you're trying to figure out how to do it all yourself, 'cause
Yeah.
like it's entrepreneurship, man. You can't like just have, somebody do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
So so yeah, man, finally like middle of year two is when I finally started to pick up traction again. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to hit this 10K mark, whatever. I'm just going to keep putting out information. Well, I ended up hitting the 10K mark a month ahead of schedule. So it was in November, just before the two-year mark. So I was like, well, ahead of schedule, not according to the timeline, but ahead of
Dude,
schedule, man.
that's how it works though, right? It's like 3 steps forward, 1 step back,
Yeah.
and then like you feel like you're not gonna make it, and then you just like explode off.
Yeah, man. And a lot of people lose it in that down phase, man. They let the terror or the what ifs get to them.
Yeah, dude, that will kill more dreams than anything, right? Just doubt and just you're just so uncertain, right? You just don't have belief in what will happen. And I feel like success is very simple, right? It's simple in concept. It's not like easy in practice. Like it takes work and it's not, you have to be uncomfortable and you have to sacrifice, but it's very simple, right? I mean, it's like A plus B really does equal C. Like if you put in the fucking work and you have the belief and like you're doing the right things, the outcome will fucking happen. It might not happen necessarily on your exact timeline that you would like, right? But like it will happen. You will get there.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's just such a strong lesson for people to know.
Yep.
So you preach a lot of mindset or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. Power of the mindset, power of positivity, powers of law of attraction.
Yeah, I'm a huge believer in the law of attraction, man. I feel like the energy you put out is the energy that you receive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you read The Secret?
I haven't read The Secret. I did watch the documentary.
Okay.
I read the actual law of attraction though.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to check that out.
it's a pretty good one. I think I have it. I'll let you get it. It's a good book.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So one of my friends put me onto The Secret just after I'd moved home to Arizona, during my injury phase, and that just completely shifted my mindset, man. I was like, oh shit, like here I am, like worrying about X, Y, Z, living in the past about these situations, and it's like, man, I just got to be forward thinking. And at that point is when I started writing down goals. At
Yeah.
that point is all like super small tangible goals. Like when I was coming back from my surgery, I could only leg press 10 pounds at a time, and then I could only go up 5 pounds a week after that. And so it was like writing down my goal, hit 15-pound leg press, hit 20-pound leg press, whatever it is. And then going from there, man, it's just sure enough, the more I got in the habit of it, then it started to turn into like bigger macro goals. And then it was sign with Rochester. And then sure enough, I signed with Rochester. And then it
Yeah.
was another, and then when that team folded, it was like sign with another indoor team. And sure, so like as I kept like practicing this idea of writing down your goals, speaking out your goals, trying to manifest what you want through your thoughts and through your actions, it's all catapulted and it's all snowballed and it's incredible.
Yeah, dude, 100%. I mean, you really have to focus on like what you want in life. I had this terrible problem where like, I mean, I have like some student loan debt, so I just focus on that. Like, fuck, I really want to get these student loan debts paid off. But it's like once I shifted the thought from like I'm just gonna make a lot of money, like things have just really fucking started changing, and it's been game changing. So yeah, dude, you really have to like focus your thoughts. Like
Yeah.
that's so important.
And it's got to be specific. I think it's funny you brought that point up about student loans. For my first couple years coming back, so indoor soccer is tough because it's pay per game. So unless you're playing in so they generally have 25 guys signed, 15 to 18 guys get signed, like get rostered for each game.
Okay.
And unless you're in that 15 to 18, you're not getting paid for the game.
Oh shit.
Yeah, some teams have a salary, but most teams are just pay per game. And so like especially the first couple of years as I was trying to gain my experience back, I wasn't playing in very many games. So I wasn't making money. I
Yeah.
was working a lot, but it was a lot of investment in myself. And so there's a lot of stuff that I started putting on credit cards. Anything that was healthy, I would put on a credit card. So I'm like, oh, investment in myself,
Yeah.
investment in myself. And so now that I'm much more stable and sturdy, my mantra has always been zero debt, but I was literally writing down debt all these times.
Yeah.
And so it was like 6 months ago, I made the shift to writing down financial abundance. And boom, man, like
Dude.
I'm paying off these bills like a lot quicker, like more opportunities to make money are popping up.
Yeah.
Like, and granted, like a lot of that is in the foundation that I've laid, but it's just with that mantra of like I'm not thinking debt all the time. I'm
Yeah.
thinking financial abundance.
That's a huge difference. Like it makes all the difference. So what do you what would have been some of like your sources for like what are some like the books that you like to read or some podcasts that you listen to? Like what's been like your source of like education and inspiration?
Sure. So it's been kind of misguided or misdirected. I don't know if that's the right word over the last few years. I would just kind of go to YouTube and type in like nutrition podcast or like exercise, whatever, and just like click on the
Whatever
first
pops
thing.
up.
Yeah, yep. But then
What could go wrong?
yeah, exactly. Yep. I started hearing some weird. I'm like that's not right.
The earth is really flat, bro. It's totally flat. YouTube told me.
So yeah, man. So then I got into the Joe Rogan podcast,
Yeah.
which was great, man, because man, he just talks about all different types of perspectives, and so like the more, you could go anywhere from like MMA fighters to your astrophysicists
Yeah,
to
man.
DMT specialists to like all this, so there's like huge for the perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got into the MFCEO project, the
Yeah.
one that Andy Frisella puts out.
Love it. Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
I used
man.
to work for Andy.
Oh yeah.
2009, 2010, I worked at I worked at Supplement Superstores, and this is when Andy was still doing all the interviews. He was running fucking the store meetings. Like it was a pretty cool experience to like see where he's at
Was it in the
today.
grind time?
Yeah, it's like fuck, man. I remember like some of the things he talks about. I'm like, I was there during that time. It's really cool, and like just to see where they're at, it's fucking killer.
Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah,
So yeah, man. So that's been a great podcast to listen to, 'cause especially between those two. I'm like, man, like this is the type of information I want to talk about with people.
Yeah.
I have a vision of having my own podcast at some point, and so those are the two. Those are the two big ones. Lewis Howes is another one that I like to listen to.
Yeah.
He's a good
he's a
one.
good one.
And then, funny enough, you brought up books. I've never been a reader. It's always been really hard for me to sit down and just center my thoughts to read something.
Yeah.
Generally, I get like a page in and I'm like thinking about something else. I'm like, shit, now I got to go back and read that page again.
Reread it. What did I just read?
So it's always kind of like steering me away from reading unless
Yeah.
there's like a nutrition article or something like that. But Andy Frisella brought up one of the things in his podcast. He's like, if I sit down with a business owner and they can't tell me their top 5 favorite books, I'm walking out of the meeting because they don't,
Yeah.
obviously they're not looking to grow and develop and whatever.
Yeah.
And so then I went to, January 1st, I made it the goal to read a book a month.
Yeah.
And I went to Frisella's top 10 book list and got those. So
A
I
lot
read
of good books.
Yeah, man. So I read, I I forget what the exact title is, but it's the book about Zappos and how Zappos came to be.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
think it's delivering
Delivering
happiness.
happiness. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, delivering happiness. That was a pretty good one. And then I'm almost done with Awake the Giant Within. Um,
Oh, Tony
Tony
Robbins.
Robbins. Yep.
Yeah.
So those are my first two, and then I've got a few that I'll look to read
I
later this
c
year. But
yeah, dude, I can dig it. Dude, check out Audible too. Audible books. I mean, just books on tape. I call them books on tape because it's
people, what's a tape, man?
tape. Yeah, audio books. Yeah, man, I don't know why I still do that. Fucking, I still call things like CDs and stuff. I haven't bought a CD in years, dude. Um, yeah, I can dig it. Dude, a good podcast you might actually like is it's called the Model Health Show, and it's a guy here in St. Louis actually. It's his name's Sean Stevenson. Is one of the number one health podcasts in the country.
Okay.
And he was actually Sean Stevens was on one of the MFCEO projects, which is how I came across him. And then I'm gonna try to get him on the podcast for sure. He's on the list. I have a fucking hit list of killers in St. Louis. I'm trying to get on.
Love it.
There's a lot of them, dude. That'd be a good one. That'd be a good one for
Cool.
sure. What was I going to? I don't know, man. I don't know, but we're at an hour, and I want to be respectful of your time, and I got some other things to go do too. I want to turn the floor over to you, brother, and if there's anything that you want to plug, promo, sponsors, your direct people to your socials, the floor is yours, my friend.
I appreciate that. Yeah, definitely just check out my main avenues of social media, which is Instagram, Acosta Fitness. That's the biggest one, and then through that you'll be able to find Grind and Fitness. Yeah, give it some love. Go like the videos, go check out the videos, share them with your friends. It's a lot of really relevant footwork drills, and I always try to attach like some useful information below. So not only like what the drill is, but why, what you're working on. Whether you're working on rhythm, whether you're working on speed, timing, whatever it is. So check all that out, and just my big message to people is keep grinding. Like it's such a it's almost cliche to say that you really can have whatever you want, but
Yeah,
you really can't have whatever you want.
you
You
really
just you
can.
just got to grind, and you got to grind, and like we talked about earlier, it doesn't necessarily happen on your timeline, but if you just the dedication and discipline, and focus to the small details, man, anything's possible.
Dude,
So
yeah, 100%, man. We'll end on that note, dude. That's a powerful message. So, all right, brother, I appreciate it again, Rob.
thanks for having me, man. Be
Yeah, dude.
blessed.
All right, everybody, till next time.